right, bonus edition Friday, Black Friday. The entire store at Barstool is 20% off. If you're watching this, 20% off all merch, sweatshirts. We got to get Brad a couple of hats. You'll be in the market for a couple of hats, right, Brad? You're a hat guy.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, 20% off the entire store.
Check out the sweatshirt I have on. This is a Carhartt. This thing is gorgeous. It's super warm. I wore it last week in the cold. It's very nice. 20% off the entire store. Barstool Sports store. Go there now. It's Black Friday. That's a must.
Running all weekend. So yeah, if you're we'll peel back the curtain a little bit. We're obviously not in the office on Friday. We're taping this a little bit in advance, so the lines can move. Things are subject to change. But we wanted everybody to get their weekly spot with Brad Powers. Take your pick, Brad. I'll start off the top. Whose loss hurt them the most? Because there was a ton of teams that got hurt last week.
I know one hurt you the most. So, and honestly, I would say the most frustrating probably was Ole Miss because the game was still there for the taking.
Yep.
And they just, I mean, I name one of 10 different plays that they just had knucklehead decisions from Lane Kiffin, drop passes, fumbled punts, ill-timed penalties. Just, incredibly poor football, especially coming off a bye and getting healthy. I just could not believe, because I still, statistically, you look at the box score, they should have won the game by 10 or more and still couldn't get it done. So that one was probably more frustrating. Obviously, Alabama failing to cover by 5 touchdowns is pretty bad.
Yeah,
to say the
but
least.
that one's got to shock you the most, right? Like, did you think there was a lot I know you said it, like, don't be surprised if certain teams lose, but you didn't see Oklahoma. I didn't see Oklahoma having any fight. That was the one that shocked me the most.
I didn't. I bet Alabama. So I would have loved to really ribbed you good, but I was with, not that it was my favorite bet of the week, but I did bet it. I didn't think there was much that Oklahoma could do. The Alabama game plan wasn't there. I mean, I don't know why they were playing nickel defense when Oklahoma wasn't even trying to throw the football. I mean, you got to get more guys in the box. And then Alabama's got a recruiting problem. Their tackles and their entire offensive line, too fat and slow, can't play in space, cannot get out and block the edge rushers. This has been not only a problem this year, it's been a problem the last couple of years. So they got a lot of issues to fix. With that being said, that network, the ESPN, they'll do whatever they can to get a 3-loss team in there. So what I'm looking at is the loser of the ACC game, ACC championship, is going to have 2 losses. 2-loss ACC team, especially if it's SMU versus 3-loss Alabama. You tell me who you think's in.
That was the next question I wrote down. Can a 3-loss team still get in this playoff? You think this is that we're really going to see the SEC bias now if they get in? We are really going to see it if somebody gets in with 3 losses.
I wouldn't make it a favorite, but I'd say it's a short dog. It's certainly possible.
Let's
see if Alabama can beat Auburn. We'll see.
Alabama, I guess, is on the outside looking in, but maybe, like you said, Brad, maybe not. Ole Miss, are they cooked? What happens with Ole Miss now?
Ole Miss is cooked. The problem is not only 3 losses, but they're just not that name brand that's going to pull in. This is a TV show. They're not going to pull in very many people, so they are cooked.
What about A&M's life? If A&M beats Texas, are they back square in the mix? They put themselves ahead of them?
Yeah, they're in that. The winner of that game plays Georgia in the SEC championship game, so
right,
they'd be in the mix. Now they lose. I mean, they beat Texas, lose a SEC championship game. They're out with 4 losses.
Yeah. Too many.
That's a huge game. I'm looking right now.
It's a massive game.
As of right now, we're taping this on Monday, but it's a 6-point spread. I mean, it's in Texas A&M. They're the home underdog. That game kind of stuck out to me instantly as a big casual.
Yeah, I mean, because it's number one, the rivalry. I don't think people understand how bitter it is. I mean, they haven't played in almost 15 years between the two, so it will be an electric atmosphere there at Kyle Field. Obviously, added stakes. The winner goes to the SEC championship game. Loser leaves town, kind of the old WWF. But what do I see? Well, Quinn Ewers a little bit banged up. I think both teams are slightly overrated because of fortunate schedules. I think spot to me cries A&M off the loss. So, but I'm not running to bet it at 6. Let's see if we can get a tick higher. It's a go for me on A&M at 7 or more.
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, this early, and you're one of the guys who gets things early. What lines do you see moving the most? Maybe games you might not even be on, but ones you expect to move the most by the time this airs on Friday.
Good question, Rico. If I had those answers, I don't know if I would be.
He wouldn't be wasting his time with us.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. And you could take this segment and use it next year and the next 5 years. Here's what happens this week. what gets overpriced in the market. If you want to bet something now, what you need to do early in the week, come the final week, Thanksgiving week, is bet on the 5-win teams early in the week. They're going for bowl eligibility. Eventually, by the end of the week, that gets expensive because everybody and their brother is, they need a win to get.
Right.
They're going to be motivated. They win, they get the bowl eligibility. A lot of times I like fading that move late in the week because you're talking about you're paying a premium on a team that's mediocre, because if they weren't mediocre, they wouldn't be fighting for bowl eligibility here in the final week. And I think they often get overpriced. So expect movement on any team that's sitting there at 5 wins and they're playing somebody that shouldn't have as much motivation.
Okay. Michigan, Ohio State. Any value in Michigan?
That's one. You maybe wait a little bit. You'll get a better number on Michigan later in the week. Anytime you got a big favorite, you got a 3-touchdown spread here, you got to ask yourself, what is the motivation for margin for the favorite? Do they have it or not? Buckeyes have it.
100%.
You're going to have to get this number up a little higher for me to even consider Michigan, even though Michigan looked really good. Best performance this season for them. Vibes are good with the program, with what's happening off the field with recruiting. But boy, you saw Ohio State punching in late against Indiana. You best believe if they get another opportunity this week to do that, they'll score a touchdown in the final seconds to put one on Michigan.
Yeah, bad blood, obviously.
Whenever I'm betting NFL, the worst number I see is 7.5. Getting that hook just scares the hell out of me. I hate it. I'm looking right now. Notre Dame at USC. It's a 7.5 point game right now. It's in USC, so once again, they're the home underdog.
USC playing spoiler on Notre Dame for the playoff as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there. Notre Dame needs the win desperately. Kind of where do you see that one going?
Yeah, I lean towards SC with that hook. Not one of my favorite bets, but a bet I have made already this week is SC plus 7.5.
Okay.
Historically, Notre Dame has really struggled in the Coliseum. Let alone cover margin in this type of situation. SC 6-5, but look at their 5 losses. They had the lead in the fourth quarter in all 5 losses this year.
Oh no!
Yeah, they're used to playing in close games. 8 of their 11 games have been decided by one possession. So this is their wheelhouse. Notre Dame hasn't played a close game since September. Now, what happens when Notre Dame gets punched back a little bit? Because SC will be the most talented team they've faced since September. It's tough fading Notre Dame right now because they're number 1 in the country in scoring margin. They're destroying people. But I do like SC this week.
A lot of pressure on Notre Dame as well. You get out there, a lot of things don't go your way early. Maybe you're down 7-0. A lot of pressure on Notre Dame. South Carolina, Clemson. Sneaky good one.
Go ahead.
No, sneaky, really good one. We didn't expect South Carolina to be what they were. Really, really good South Carolina team.
Yeah, I think they beat Clemson. Value's been sucked out. I mean, that's why the line's only 2.5, even though it's played at Clemson. But I think matchup-wise, South Carolina's played a tougher schedule. They're a better team. Clemson's offensive line's banged up a little bit. That people keep track of that against the South Carolina defensive front that at minimum's top 5, if not top 2, 3 defensive front in the country. So South Carolina goes in there and wins.
There's one of those. There's always ones I feel like that jump out on the screen that look like that's going to be a spoiler. Tell me why Syracuse up in the dome, Miami going to Syracuse, doesn't look like an absolute spot to jump on Syracuse.
Oh, no, I think Syracuse is the right side this week. I'm just waiting to see, where that market moves a little bit. But you know why? I mean, Syracuse can throw the football. Backdoors wide open against the Miami defense that leaves a lot to be desired. I think, look, one of the highest totals on the board this week, but how could you bet under with these two teams? You don't have to worry about weather up and down the field. Miami's final scores against like Duke, even last week against Wake Forest.
That was the wrong side of that. Yep.
Yeah, very you flip in the middle of the third quarter. I mean, they're winning or barely or losing to teams like that, and then they end up winning by 4 touchdowns. So I think Syracuse is a live dog, to be perfectly honest with you.
Anybody else fit that bill of outright dogs that you're looking at early?
Yeah, I got one for you. Be the best bet. UTSA plus 7.5 against Army. I think they win outright. No team after Notre Dame has covered this year, and in their follow after playing Notre Dame, over, and they're failing to cover by 2 touchdowns per game. So is it just some random trend? No, I mean it makes sense from 2 reasons. Number one, you put everything into the Notre Dame game. Army did. That was one of their biggest games they've had in recent memory.
At Yankee Stadium, like a huge event like that. Yes. Yeah, they threw everything they had at that.
So you're flat the next week. And I think more pertinent to this year, Notre Dame is pretty brutally physical. If you watch that game, I mean, multiple starters for Army went out. That's been happening to a lot of teams. Bryson Daly, I don't understand why he played at the end. I know that you want to see your service academy fight to all 60 minutes. They're down 49-7. He ran the ball himself 11 times on the final drive. Took way too many hits. I think UTSA is live. And keep in mind, Army's got the American Championship game on deck and Navy on deck. So this game means nothing to them.
Yeah, absolutely zero.
Where are we with Tennessee? They have Vanderbilt this week.
Good question.
At Vanderbilt. Are they a pretender? Are they a contender? They got to win that game, but it's a 10.5 spread. I mean, anything can happen. But Vanderbilt isn't awful. Where do you see Tennessee kind of shaking out?
Man, you're bringing it, Clemmer. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm kind of in between. They deserve to be in the playoff. They're a top 10 team as far as the Vegas power rating. But would I be shocked if they lost this week? No. That would be one that, Tennessee's in now after what happened last week, and then Vanderbilt beats them. I mean, Vanderbilt's been incredible as an underdog this year, 7-1 against the spread as a dog. But yeah, Tennessee's capable of not, I certainly think they'll make the playoff if they take care of business this week, but they're capable of winning a game or two in the playoff because I like their defensive front, unique offense. But are they going to win the title? No, their offense isn't consistent enough.
The one that interests me, you talk about spoilers. K-State, I know it's my team, but K-State can truly be a spoiler with Iowa State this year. I think Iowa State's never won the Big 12. Is that accurate?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
So they've never won. They could play spoiler. It's Farmington, two close schools, obviously. What do you make of that one? K-State and
Farmington, you mean Farmageddon?
Farmageddon. What, I thought they called Farmington.
Yeah, I got you.
Farmageddon.
Are you thinking of Farmington State? Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of Framingham State or something. Yeah, Farmingdale. Maybe. Yeah, Farmington.
I think you're on the right side. It's Kansas State or nothing for me. Again, that's one. Just it's okay to be patient this year in the marketplace. Usually, I think you might be able to get a 3.5, Rico. So wait.
Okay.
I mean, wait it out.
I remember last year. I feel like it was in the snow. It was wild.
It was in the snow, about a foot of snow.
Jesus.
And the kid for Iowa State, that Sama kid, ran for like 250 yards.
Yeah.
And I got another Kansas game. Kansas versus Baylor. Kansas is one of those five-win teams that you were talking about. Baylor's -1.5. KU is probably the hottest team in the country right now. 3 ranked wins I saw. Like the only team that's done it as a unranked opponent. I love Baylor in this.
Seems like
you like Baylor or Kansas?
Baylor because of the line.
Oh, okay.
Because of the line.
Line screams Baylor.
Line screams like I think that everyone's going to be all over.
Well, Baylor. I would say both these teams are probably right now for saying who's the best teams in the Big 12 as of right now. Probably Baylor and Kansas the way they're playing. I think the line's about right. I mean, it's tough going against Kansas right now because week after week they're showing that they probably are the best team in the Big 12.
I know we talked a little about Michigan, Ohio State. The over/under kind of stuck out to me. It's 43. Like you were saying, Brad, is there a chance Ohio State just runs it fucking down their throat and just beats the shit out of them, and and then we hit that number that way? I know Michigan's offense is hit or miss, but I just wonder if Ohio State's going to go fucking crazy.
I think you get value betting the over in the Ohio State-Michigan series because you think, especially recently, want to run the football, elite defense. I mean, you can even go back. I mean, I'm aging myself here. The Woody versus Bo, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And yet, I think the overs hit 7 or 8 straight times in these two in the matchup. So, I agree with you. Over would be the play again because if given the opportunity, Ohio State's going to want to run it up on Michigan this year.
We got a guy in Chicago, Eddie. He's the nicest guy in the world. He had LSU's future dead. He took Bama dead. If you were looking at a future for a nice guy out there, who's a long shot or somebody under the radar that he can then re-up?
Oh no,
poor Eddie.
It depends on their path, but Notre Dame would probably be the team that. But I'm seeing, Georgia, if they win the SEC championship game, would jump them. Penn State's still ahead of them, where Notre Dame might even only get they might actually drop. So if they get the 8th seed and have to play Ohio State in round 2, that would be dead. But ask me in 2 weeks. I got to look at the bracket.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be 4 or 5 teams, Rico, that aren't even in the playoff that aren't even in my top 10. I mean, there's going to be a lot of fraudulent teams where if you get the right path, you can sleepwalk your way to a couple wins in this playoff.
Yeah, maybe that's the question. Who's the automatic cross-offs? Probably Boise, right? We don't think they can win the title.
No.
They're a good team, good story.
I'm going to tell you, team that's I almost don't want to see Boise now. Tulane's better than Boise. So if you're rooting for the little guy, Tulane's a better team than Boise. At least a better shot at beating somebody good.
Yeah, good coach too. The Big 12 team, whoever wins that will be a cross-off.
Yep. Joke. Indiana's a joke. I think Penn State's fraudulent.
They haven't beaten anybody. They beat 9 through 12 in the Big 10. And then the ACC champ is probably fraudulent as well too.
Yes. So there's 5 teams there that it's just.
And you might
all
get
1 at 12. It's
yeah.
fun, but I mean, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a bunch of teams that are like, I don't know if they're that good.
Right, and you might get 2 of them in your bracket as it goes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So it might be you get the right matchup. I mean, again, you can be a touchdown plus favorite in both games and just right into the semifinals. So, and then you can start thinking about hedging. So, again, ask me that question in 2 weeks.
All right.
I'll give you one if you want a future. Ohio State minus 150 to win the Big Ten's cheap. Because they're going to be a 3-4 point favorite at least against Oregon in the rematch.
Right. How much juice do you put on that game? Like, do you think that game is going to have a little less juice because the winner is going to get obviously a home playoff game and then potentially square back up with them? They could be the 5.
Yeah, both teams are in already, right?
They're both in, and they might be on a path crossing. If they fall to 5, Oregon, if they lose to a 2-point game or a 3-point game to Ohio State, would fall to what? The worst case, 5? So they'd be on a path again.
The winner gets the winner's going to get number 1. The loser's going to get the 5.
So they'd be on a path again in the quarters.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you look at who the 5 seed's going to be, that's going to be the team I want to look at.
That's what you're saying. This 5 seed's the one to have.
That's crazy. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of seeing teams play each other 3 times.
Right. Do you think the bracket, they should change that and almost make them the 6 so that they're not?
This bracket has to change. I'm okay giving the Big 12 and ACC champs, automatic bids, but they can't get automatic top 4 seeds. I don't want to ever see this again.
No, I agree with that. I was on pace where I think you should reward people for winning your division, your conference, but now we've seen the light that there's a big gap and there's a big disparity. I don't think
let's just rank the teams.
Yes.
I mean, you're automatically in if you win your conference, but you don't automatically get a top 4 seed. Let's just rank them how they are. The best 12 teams.
That seems by far the fairest way to do it.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
What's the point of even having the rank? That's the thing. It's having the rankings, but you're not really where you are when you're ranked because of the conference. Then you have fraudulent conferences.
They feel so beholden to these conferences, right? Because that's the way it was. Not necessarily.
I think they'll change that. I think they will. Dude, you got one last one?
It will get changed. SEC and Big Ten, the big dogs aren't going to like it.
Nope.
No.
Is there a team on the outside looking in that might be plus money to make the playoff right now that you like?
That's a good question.
Alabama. I'm just telling you, they beat Auburn. It's going to be between them and I think with 3 losses. I mean, compare them to an SMU with 2 losses. You tell me who they're going to pick.
And is there a world where Alabama gets in and no Big 12 team gets in?
No, the Big 12 has to get in.
Yeah, they automatically get in.
There was a loophole.
No, I don't think so.
I thought Liam
they got to be
it out.
Maybe he knows a loophole, but I don't think so.
I saw something. I saw some tweets about it this weekend. That's why I asked about it. But I know that they're locked in to get like the 4 seed, right?
Yeah, they're going to get.
Well, no, the Big 12 could get the 12 seed.
I saw that like Boise State could jump them, the Big 12 champ.
Yeah, they already have.
Yeah. That's very reasonable. If Boise wins out, that Boise probably is the 4 seed.
Crazy. All right, Brad. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us. Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Happy Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks for having me, guys. UTSA.
And quick, don't forget, it's Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Oh, now.
All weekend, 20% off. Go shop. We'll catch you. Everybody enjoy the weekend. See you Monday.